Welcome to IFAStories, where ancient wisdom meets modern storytelling. Step into the sacred tradition of Ifa, rooted in Yoruba land and shaped through centuries of interaction with neighboring West African cultures and preserved in the Lukumi tradition of the diaspora. Here we engage the Ifa divination corpus, the sacred Odu through which Òrúnmìlà reveals insight into destiny and moral order, reflected in the lives of Orisha, Irunmole, Awos, communities, and all who seek guidance. These are not distant myths, but living teachings, bridges between past and present, illuminating responsibility, consequence, and the human path. Honor the wisdom. Reflect on destiny. Journey with us into the heart of Ifa. Subscribe and let the stories speak. Learn more at IFAStories.com. He made divinations for the 200 divinities. Afefefefe, Ofeile, Ofeono, On Londa Ifa fun Òrúnmìlà, Abufun, Ajugo Otun, Pelu Ajugo Osi, Ni Ojo Tiwon Tin Koleorun, Bowasi Koleaye. He made divination for Òrúnmìlà and all the 200 divinities when they were coming to the world. He advised them to make sacrifice in order to avoid the risk of spending all their time in the forest. They were told to make sacrifice with a he-goat to Eshu, and that whenever it was threatening to rain, they should continue non-stop on their journey without seeking shelter on the way. Òrúnmìlà was the only divinity who made the sacrifice. They subsequently set out for the earth at the instance of Olodumare. On account of the sacrifice which they did not make, Eshu proceeded to wait for them at the boundary between heaven and earth. As soon as Eshu sighted them in the distance, he unplugged the rain taps of heaven and it started raining. The rain was so heavy that each of the divinities began to take shelter at various points on their route in the hope of waiting for the rain to stop. Òrúnmìlà stopped for a brief rest in the home of Oykeun, who gave him considerable hospitality. Egungun persuaded him to stay for the rain to stop, but Òrúnmìlà insisted on proceeding on his journey. Egungun, however, gave him a cap to cover his head from the rain, and with that he continued on his journey while the others preferred to remain under shelter until the rain abated. Òrúnmìlà received a tumultuous welcome from his children and adherents, who had been expecting his arrival. His children gave him new clothes to wear since he was totally drenched. While he was settling down on earth, the others were still hibernating at various points on the route because the rain continued non-stop for 3 years. When the rain eventually stopped, Oykeun decided that there was no point in continuing on his journey because he was quite happy in his ramshackled abode by the wayside. The others also took similar decisions. When Òrúnmìlà was asked for the whereabouts of his colleagues, he replied that they had taken shelter from the rain at various points on the way to the earth. That is why, to this day, food is given to all the other divinities outside the house, at bush paths and byways away from the house. That is also why Òrúnmìlà is the only divinity that is normally served at home. When this Odu comes out at a Bodu, the person is advised that when it rains anywhere away from his home or during a journey, he should never take shelter but make straight for his home in order to enjoy lasting peace and prosperity.